Hello and welcome to the Horse with No Name podcast. Today's episode is once again brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Sight and Sound Theaters. Located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Sight and Sound is a proud sponsor of Charger Athletics. Go beyond entertainment with Sight and Sound. Every show is an epic experience with a meaningful message. Surround yourself with uplifting Bible stories brought to life in jaw-dropping scale by a world-class cast. Spectacular special effects and live animals. Visit the Tickets tab at LBCChargers.com to make a reservation today. Partial proceeds from your purchase support Charger Athletics. Time is running out to see Jonah as it ends on October 14th, followed by the Miracle of Christmas, which will begin early in November. Been a busy couple of weeks here at LBC as all of the teams are well into their conference play, as well as hosting our annual LBC homecoming race. The men's and women's cross country teams held that race last Thursday, and it was a terrific day for both teams here on campus. The Chargers claimed the top spot in each race, while the men's team took home the team title. The men's team was led by junior Tanner Krob, who won the 8K event, while freshman Stephen Marshall finished third out of 47 runners. The Chargers, along with Krob, won their second straight race after taking their first win of the season on September 16th at Penn State Abington. On the women's side, Sammy Stoner won her second straight race for the Chargers. She helped the team finish second place out of 5 teams that competed and had enough runners for the team event. Stoner won the 6K race by 20 seconds and is now the only runner in LBC women's cross-country history to win 2 races during her collegiate career, and keep in mind that this was her 3rd race of her collegiate career, so already tops in the record books for the Chargers in just 3 races. For her efforts, she was named NEAC Women's Runner of the Week for the 2nd time this season, again becoming the only runner in LBC women's cross-country history to claim that award twice. So accolades are piling up for both Stoner and Krob here as the cross-country team takes flight midway through their year. They will take part in the Battle of the Buggy along some of their Lancaster County neighbors this weekend in Millersville, Pennsylvania. The LBC women's volleyball team suffered its 3rd straight defeat last night at the hands of the York Spartans, just across the river there. After climbing to the 500 mark last week at 7-7, the Chargers have lost 3 straight and are now 7-10, but they are maintaining a strong conference record at 4-1, and they'll have a chance to go to 5-1 this Saturday when they host Wilson. The tough schedule, though, continues for the Chargers. They'll take on Wilkes tomorrow night in Wilkes-Barre, PA, followed by the aforementioned match with Wilson, and then they'll take on EMU as well on Saturday. We'll have more about that when we talk about the schedule that's coming up for the Chargers. The LBC women's soccer team opened in NEAC play last week. They fell to 4-time defending champion Penn State Berks 2-0 here on Charger Field last Wednesday, but recovered with a 4-0 victory over St. Elizabeth on homecoming Saturday. Freshman Cameron Horst netting the first 2 goals of her collegiate career, and sister Reagan Horst netting the game winner for the Chargers as they outshot St. Elizabeth 36-0. The Chargers host Rutgers Camden this afternoon at 3:30. We'll have that for you on our YouTube page and the Chargers Sports Network. And they'll make their only trip to New York during the regular season as they'll take on Wells in Aurora, New York on Saturday, followed by a game on Sunday in Williamsport, Pennsylvania against Penn College. The LBC men's soccer team had quite an eventful week last week as they lost 1-0 to Penn State Harrisburg on Monday and followed that up with 10 goals over the next 2 games. Chargers and Penn State Berks playing to a 4-4 tie to open NEAC play on Wednesday. Chargers scoring with 3:49 to go on a goal by Jared Jordan to tie that game at 4-4 and send it to double overtime. No goals in the overtime periods, thus the 4-4 tie. Chargers, though, did come back with a victory on homecoming Saturday, a 6-1 defeat of St. Elizabeth. Both Rama Mugisha and Caleb Nelson netted 2 goals in that game. For Mugisha last week, 4 goals in those 3 games, more specifically the 2 games, as he netted 2 goals in both the tie against Berks and the win against St. Elizabeth. He and Nelson both now with 6 goals to lead the Chargers this season. The Chargers face Wilkes this afternoon in Wilkes-Barre, PA, as the Chargers making a couple trips 476 or Route 81 this week to Wilkes-Barre, PA, both for volleyball and soccer today. The Chargers, after the game with Wilkes today, will also join the women this weekend in New York as they take on a tough Wells team that defeated Morrisville State 3-0 last weekend. So a tough match with Wells on Saturday in Aurora, New York, followed by a matchup with Penn College, who has moved to the North Division this season. So 2 Northern Division teams for the Chargers this weekend. That game on Sunday at noon in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. both of these weekends for the men's and women's soccer team are big weekends, as though there's only been 2 games played for the Chargers in NEAC play. The jockeying for positioning starts right now for playoff positioning, and all those points are big for every team, especially on road games for the Chargers as they look to steal a win or two in the Northern Division. While that doesn't count for the playoffs for interdivision, as the two conference, the divisions are now in North and South, it will go a long way in determining who could possibly be the overall top seed as we head towards the NEAC playoffs. Shifting gears a bit, from today's taping, we are just 11 days away from the start of basketball practice for the Chargers, as the LBC men's and women's basketball teams have been conducting off-season workouts and some open gyms. The real practice starts, though, on October 15th, as the Chargers, both teams, look to build on successes from last season. Both teams reached the NEAC playoffs, the men making a somewhat surprising run to the NEAC final, where they lost to Morrisville State down in Washington, D.C., that game on a neutral floor, while the women lost in the semifinals, but had a terrific run throughout the regular season, led by Caitlin Hickey and Courtney Goyak. For the upcoming schedule, we mentioned a couple of road matches. There's not too much on campus after today for soccer for the next couple weeks, as volleyball will take center stage. The Chargers will host that tri-match with Wilson and Eastern Mennonite this weekend. They'll take on the Phoenix at 11 o'clock here at Horst Athletic Center, and then face the Royals at 3 o'clock here at the Hack. Next week, they'll battle Hood on Tuesday evening. And next Saturday will be a NEAC volleyball day. There's no more NEAC volleyball weekends where there were 9 or 10 matches here over the course of 2 days. Rather, with the conference splitting into 2 divisions, there's now just a day. So there'll be 4 matches here next Saturday. Those matches at 10, 12, 2, and 4. Keuka and Wells will be coming down from the North Division, and Penn State Berks will come down the road here from 222. And all 4 of those teams will play. The Chargers already played Berks this season, and Wells and Keuka will play later. So each team, Berks and Lancaster Bible, will face Keuka and Wells. The Chargers play at 10 and 4 that day. They'll take on Wells at 10 and Keuka at 4. So you definitely want to make your way out to the Horst Athletic Center and check out some volleyball action. The soccer teams are back in action over fall break. The men will host Rutgers Camden on Thursday the 19th, followed with a home NEAC weekend where they'll take on Morrisville State and Cazenovia. The Cazenovia games will be Saturday the 21st. That'll also be senior day here for the men's and women's soccer teams. And on Sunday, the Chargers will host Morrisville State in a battle that has gone back a few seasons between LBC and Morrisville State, specifically on the men's side, as the two met in the NEAC final a couple of seasons ago and seem to meet every year in the NEAC playoffs the past couple of years. Be sure to follow all the action for LBC on the Chargers Sports Network, as well as our YouTube page. For social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, you can search us at LBC Athletics and check out all the great things happening here at LBC as we keep going with the fall, and basketball practice is right around the corner. So once again, we want to thank our presenting sponsor, Sight and Sound Theaters. Certainly appreciate everything they do for our athletic department. If you haven't made it out to a show, specifically Jonah, you have about 10 days or so definitely log on to LBCChargers.com and find the tickets tab and get some seats before Jonah ends here at Sight and Sound in Lancaster. Like we said, not too many soccer matches after today for the next couple of weeks, but certainly lots of volleyball action. And as we get set for the rest of the fall and head into the winter here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, I want to thank Pete Stover for helping us on the back end of things here in Virginia. And be sure to join us next week for another episode of the Horse with No Name podcast. This has been Zach Freeman. Go, Chargers, go.